there's some really cool, wonderful people in this industry that have carved out niches and they've done things. And I think every financial professional has that ability to, elevate and take their practice up. And we meet advisors and you see it every day. And so,
Yep.
some of them are always like looking for that expansion. How do I hire this next person? How do I do this? Others just stay in that little bubble. And what we want them to do is just get out of that bubble and realize that if you do that, in the next 5 years can be absolutely amazing.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Don't Do That podcast. I am here with my friend, Billy Hopkins, CEO of Silver Oak Securities. Couldn't be more excited for this conversation. Couple of reasons. One, we are fresh off an Eagles win, so I had to wear my gear today. Second reason is Billy told me before this that he's amped up on 3 cups of coffee and ready to rock for this conversation. And third, there are a few people that I talk to in my life, even my mom, maybe as much as Billy and I talk, and it's on a daily basis, and it's because he's got more great ideas than anyone I know, so I'm excited for you to hear them today. Billy, welcome. Thanks for joining me.
Well, thank you for giving me the chance to be here. I am truly honored. I've been waiting for your podcast for a while, and I know we've been talking about it, and I think you did it right because you really thought through it and you didn't rush to do it, but I'm just blessed to be here, so thank you.
Awesome. So, Billy, why don't you give our listeners just a little overview of yourself and your business at Silver Oak so that they have a little context around your background?
Yeah, thank you. So I started my career just completely as an independent financial professional, and went from I started in the 90s. So we were brokers that evolved to advisors, that evolved to a supervisor that had a crazy idea of starting my own firm when I was 27 years old and had no business doing it, but was looking at the industry and kind of caught the wave of the independent space. But we were challenged. We were small, but we also were in Tennessee, and there's not a lot of financial service companies that start right out of Tennessee, but had a belief that we could build a firm on relationships, and have now in our 25th year. So
very exciting.
Truly blessed to work with what I say, financial professionals have big hearts. They have, really good relationships that they've built over a number of years, and are extremely important in the economic system, and just have kind of watched this wave from independence grow to, now it's RA, it's tech, it's all of these things. So I've kind of caught a lot of waves, and it's just amazing, and I love it every day.
That's awesome. Okay, so when you and I met early on, you told me about your Dave Grohl moment, and we have certainly leaned into that for your branding because we love that your business is from Tennessee, and we have totally leaned into the Nashville theme and the music theme and the role that plays in your life. Give everybody a little preview of your Dave Grohl moment if they haven't read the article.
Yeah, so if you didn't know Dave Grohl, he was the drummer for this little band called Nirvana, and they came out of nowhere and just destroyed the musical pivot in a way that very few bands do. But unfortunately, their lead singer died, and so he was floating around in this abyss. So he rented a studio one day or 2 days and just cranked out this album that was just in his head. And they used to make a joke, the worst thing a drummer could do is say, I have an idea for a song. So, he just kept it quiet, just went in and recorded all the parts. And he had this tape, and didn't even have a name and didn't even have a band, but he was called to be a drummer on Saturday Night Live for Tom Petty. And then Tom Petty asked him, would you be the drummer? And he sat down and said, no, I'm going to give this thing I made a shot, and later became one of the biggest bands in the world. And so we were at a point in our career where we had grown a little bit, had started to see a little bit of success, but not what we truly wanted. And I was approached by a much larger firm to come and build their advisory division, move my family to California. And in that kind of day roll moment, I was like, no, I'm gonna see what we can make of this,
Love
and
that.
kind of turned it down. And it was a heck of an offer. That you sit there and think to yourself, I wonder where that could have been. But I just enjoyed what I was doing, and so much, and so it was kind of my day roll moment. I could still see my hand turning the phone down, kind of, yeah. You
Awesome.
talk to your wife, and she's like, "Hey, I think you ought to go for it." So
Ugh. We all need somebody like that in our life who gives us a little push towards the entrepreneurial journey. I
yes.
know that I feel very lucky that my ever so patient husband lets me do some of these crazy things that I try to do. All right, Billy. So you and I talk on almost a daily basis. You have a lot of ideas. It's my favorite thing about you. You're never sitting still. You have more energy than any person I know. Maybe Tina. I think you rival Tina, which is, you know,
Yeah.
I certainly cannot keep up with the two of you. Um, and I feel like when you're running that fast and you have that many ideas, you learn a lot of lessons along the way. So the premise for this podcast is don't do that. What are we not doing today, Billy?
Well, what we're not doing is thinking small. So, you know, at and we're a firm that is a member of FINRA as well as the SEC. So, we have 1 foot over in brokerage, and we have 1 foot in what I kind of call transactional. And then we also leaned in towards this idea of advice. And to give you a little plug, Kelly, I know I went to the Orion. We bought Orion, and I looked at this little chart of the growth of Orion, and I kind of wonder what happened there when this kind of chart just went straight up to the roof. And I figured out was when they hired you as their CMO. So that's
Oh,
when
thanks.
I knew I had to work with you. But there's and we kind of feel like we represent a lot of the independent advisors out there, whether they are or whatever, because the way that we're structured and our size. And there were just relationships that we had. And those relationships were very profitable, but yet they drained you in so many ways, because either they commandeered your time, they wouldn't take your advice, they were kind of pushing envelopes and different stuff. And back as a FINRA member, there was some transactional type stuff that you would do. And you kind of knew there was this other thing that you really wanted to be doing,
Yeah.
but yet you were afraid you couldn't let go of that because they were your biggest branch or they were your biggest client or whatever. And so you fought it for a couple of years, but in the mind, you're like, I really shouldn't be doing this. Yeah, we need to just cut ways, but you just never felt like you were either thinking too small or you just couldn't do it. They weren't nice to your employees. We always had these clients that just kind of won't take your advice, and they do things. So we finally, after about 2.5 years, just cut the cord and said, we're not going to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And that moment was the moment we took off, because we quit spending all of our time and energy on these relationships,
Yeah.
and did a pivot, went straight up, and we made it up in 9 months.
Wow.
But we fought it for 2 years. We really did. And we kind of fought those. So I know, as I talk to our clients, they always have those relationships
Yep.
that they just can't let go of. And you're just like, no, just do it. There's acres of diamonds out there. If you're good at building relationships, you're going to build those better, faster. So, don't hang on to things that aren't right, and just go.
That's such good advice. I feel like, I tell everybody that will listen, I don't know if you can relate to this, but I tell everybody that will listen that one of my biggest struggles as an entrepreneur, especially one that's leading a marketing business, is that clients come to me all day long and they say things like, hey, I need 3 blogs, or hey, I want to put ads on, Reddit, or I want to do this. And I think to myself, like, okay, I'm a business owner over here who needs to pay my people and take care of them. So the easy thing would be write the blogs, hand them over, make them great, and call it a day. But then there's the CMO in me who's like, why are we writing 3 blogs? Why aren't we writing 2 blogs? How about 1 blog? Where are you posting these blogs? Who's helping you write these blogs? What are the topics of these blogs? Do you have a content calendar? If you don't have a content calendar, I just spiral. And so I think to your point, there's this struggle of like revenue versus doing what's right for you and what's right for the business and what's right for your clients. And sometimes doing the hard thing. The hard thing is sometimes the right thing. I don't know. So I don't know about you, but I feel that on a daily basis. The easy thing is take the revenue, right?
We bump into ceilings, and it's a natural thing. We at every business, every entrepreneur is going to bump into those ceilings, and the only way you can kind of get through them is to invest into them. But for us, it was a pivotal moment in that we also met an inflection point with us where we decided it freed us up. We ended up working with Orion. We ended up working with those kinds of things. And we would never have done that if we had just stayed there.
Right.
And I think it probably would have been devastating, to be honest with you. So as we talk to our professionals today, we're kind of trying to get them to buy into building enterprises, not resisting the opportunity to either hire up. We made a big decision to bring on a group of very qualified, too big for us employees. We fought that. I've been looking for a while, and I was able to work with a really, really good group of employees. But we kept thinking to ourselves, we're not ready, because when they come in and they look at our systems and they look at our stuff, we're just a mess. They're not gonna want to take on this challenge of a smaller firm. And what we saw was, yes, absolutely, they were willing to embrace that. And my CFO kind of even said, Billy, I worked with his father-in-law, ran a huge company. He was like, as a CEO, he had this idea that I don't need to be the highest paid employee. You find the people that are going to get you there, and if you yourself even have to take some sacrifices. So we even kind of launched over into working with people and with that mindset, like, hey, we know we're not ready, but we believe we can grow into it. And if we had hesitated, we'd still be stuck over at this thing, and now our firm's doubled. And so, that's just, as an entrepreneur, what you don't do is just either hold on to things too long or fight the opportunity to expand your sphere to get, and people are buying you. They bought us. These employees bought us.
Right.
They knew that they weren't ready. What they saw was an exciting little group of people that wanted to grow, and they focused on that as opposed to the things that we weren't. And we were just worried about the things that we weren't. So I would just say, and I've noticed that with you, Kelly, as you've built out intentionally. I watch, the way that you've built your team. You were starting a new endeavor, but you immediately jumped into finding the people that you needed, and you didn't let that stop you and worry, I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. No. I look up and go, how in the world is she doing this?
I have my
But it's
moments.
amazing to you. It's amazing to watch. And then when I come and see your board of the clients that you have, I notice that it's expanding. And it's because you have the resources and stuff to handle it now, but you didn't have that right off the bat. So you had to go kind of jump into this thing full with both feet,
Yeah, and you and I talked about this before we jumped on here. Like, you have these moments where, to your point, you say, am I ready for this? And you have to do it even when the answer is no, right? And when the answer is no, it's extra reason to do it, because you need to be a little bit uncomfortable. And I know that,
very uncomfortable.
I've got a couple of people on my team who constantly push me to be better and do more things. And I wouldn't be doing this podcast if Tina didn't make me do it. So thanks, Tina. But like, I feel like everybody needs that. Everybody needs somebody who's like giving them a little kick in the pants every now and then to think about the next thing. And, Randy has been another one, 30 years COO of Orion. He's like an endless number of ideas and things that he wants to do. And, he called me the other day. He's like, we need an AI person. We need this, we need that. And I'm like, let me get my coffee first. It's like 8 a.m. But yeah, I'm like, you're so right. It's like, those are the moments that take you from status quo to really getting after your goals. And I've watched that happen for you, and I've watched you be totally uncomfortable sometimes doing it. And right, like I feel like you and I are uncomfortable together, which is a fun little journey we're on.
Hey, Tina put me in front of a camera, and it was
Yes, she did.
out mortified at just how easy she was. Like, well, this is what we're going to do, and this is how you're going to do it, and just do this. And I'm like,
I know.
you're scared to death, and she was so good at it. And you're like, I think I can do it, but deep down, you was like, oh my gosh. But we're in the this is a financial service podcast,
Yeah.
and you are able to connect. And I know there's fintech and there's all these different things, but we share a common ideology of this, and we kind of have to buy into, at least I do, is the next 10 to 15 years can be amazing. There's going to be a lot of turnover. There's M&A. There's all this different stuff that's floating around. But what it really is there's some really cool, wonderful people in this industry that have carved out niches and they've done things. And I think every financial professional has that ability to, elevate and take their practice up. And we meet advisors, and you see it every day. And so,
Yep.
some of them are always like looking for that expansion. How do I hire this next person? How do I do this? Others just stay in that little bubble. And what we want them to do is just get out of that bubble and realize that if you do that, and the next 5 years can be absolutely amazing. So just don't let it, be confident that there's a clientele that want to buy you, and there's people that want to buy what you're selling, and want to be a part of something. And so we were in Jackson, Tennessee, which, if anybody knows where Jackson, Tennessee is this little, stop on the way from Nashville to Memphis. And so people would say, well, who is Billy? And where in the world is Jackson? Of all the places to start a financial service firm. But after they get over that, they kind of want to, they realize that because we were small and nimble, we didn't do things the way everybody else did. So we kind of built our own little niche, and now it's fun to see where you could take it,
Yeah. So, Billy, I admire you because, I start all of our relationships by saying, what are your goals, right? Like, I am super interested in hearing what business owners are trying to get after. And the majority of the time, what they say to me is like, X number of seats on my technology, or X number of revenue in the next couple of years, or I want to sell in 5 years, and to get to that, I need to get here. But for you, it's very genuine. I truly believe that. It's very genuine in terms of you believe that advisors in this industry want to do good and they want to do right, and that they want to enjoy doing that so that they're having a good experience themselves, and you want to bring that to people. And I think, like, with all the PE money and all the M&A and all the craziness that's in our industry right now, like, we've so lost that. And so if people are looking at Silver Oak that just hit the most recruited advisors list next to Cetera, and they're asking themselves why, it's that, Billy. It's because you focus on bringing a great experience to your advisors so that they can bring a great experience to your clients, when the rest of this industry has lost, I don't know, they've lost the line of sight to what's important, in my opinion. So I very much appreciate that about you. And I think that that's why my whole team fights over who gets to work with Billy and Silver Oak.
Well, I feel honored. I come to your office and everybody's there. And they're, so happy to be doing the work that they're doing. And
Yeah.
I still also look at you and say, they kind of have a mission and a feeling of the way that they work with us. And I imagine that that's with all the clients, because you when you came to us, you did spend a lot of time trying to understand us.
Yeah.
And the challenge, again, getting out of your comfort zone and not thinking small, is when we hired you guys. We didn't exactly know what we needed to do or wanted to do. We just knew that we had to work with an organization that could make us better.
Yep.
So there was a lot of pain in there. And I always said there was a lot of pain just because you were asking me questions that I didn't know how to articulate and different things like that. But you took the time, and we knew it was. Now I look back at all of the collateral that we've kind of built and all the different stuff, and it's just truly
awesome.
amazing.
It's so awesome.
Yeah. I can't say enough about your team, but also want our advisors and other professionals in there to do the same.
Stick through the pain. A little bit of pain.
Stick through the pain. Don't fire your CMO right off the bat because there's 100 things that they can do for you if you lean in. Because it's not just we have a problem in the industry of this ROI on your investment. What's my ROI? And if I don't see immediate results, then I just change. But that's not your brand, and that's not your need to be a way of thinking. But in a financial service world that we live in,
it's hard.
It's hard.
Get around that.
It's hard getting around that. But the opportunity that nobody's arguing is this wealth transfer.
Yeah.
I feel lucky because there was this RA movement that happened, and I always thought you guys back at Orion and your many days that you came in, so you understood at least what I always say. I have a marketing mind like Kelly that actually understands what the financial service industry is because you worked with it. So there was this. What we fight, kind of a little bit today is we're a FINRA member, and some people want to kind of run away from FINRA. Well, we embraced FINRA,
right?
Because we believe that you can be comprehensive in the way that you do it if you do it right, and it doesn't matter commissions, fees, whatever. It's all about doing what's right.
Mm-hmm.
But we see a lot of the bigger companies that had just grown through acquisition, not being able to get down on the level of the advisor and what they need and what they want to do. But those advisors also have hit these plateaus and they need to bust through it. So, we are just trying to do what a lot of the really good RAs have done out there, which is to help advisors bust through some of those glass ceilings. And there's some great stories out there, some great people out there, and we just want to help them take it to the levels that I think that they can. And so some of our best stories are just our pain. So I feel like if you said don't do this, I could spend 3 days with you and just like where do you really, 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 really want to take this? Because I got a million. I think I made more mistakes than I made right decisions. You have to.
Billy and I have talked, every day for the past couple of weeks trying to figure out what is his best don't do that, because we all have, if you're not making mistakes, you're not learning, you're not living. So I love that about you. So guys, for our listeners, just as to rewind here, what we're not doing today is thinking small. Billy wants us to make the uncomfortable move, to take the uncomfortable step, to do something out of our comfort zone, to think big, to hire the next big hire that's going to push you. And for our advisors who are listening, to think with an enterprise mindset, because you deserve that business. You can have that business. You just need the right tools and partners to help you get there. Billy, as we part ways here, give our audience a little bit of insight into how you give yourself a pep talk, or how do you push yourself forward in those moments where you're like, oh God, I know I got to do this, but it's the hard thing.
It's tackling whatever is at you, in front of you, and chipping away, whether you're kind of chipping away at it or whatever. But the thing I kind of look at in this industry is you can really, my mindset was you can only be registered with a couple of firms. So it might as well be us. And if it can be us, then let's just get better and get good, because whether it was, should we build our own tech stack? Yeah, absolutely. We should just build our own tech stack. And yeah, it's way more expensive than buying it off the rack. But every time we buy it off the rack, it disappoints. So let's just build our own. And so just always kind of look at it like you can put your mind, that stupid thing, you kind of put your mind to it. But people are looking to be associated with a firm that can do things a little bit differently, but listen, help them build a community, be a part of it. So everything that we always try to do is just see if we can improve our lot just a little bit better with an end goal of double where we were at. Call it 10X, call it whatever. I'm a big Dan Sullivan fan. You got this unique ability, run with it, and in our industry, there are a finite group of people that clients can trust and will trust. And if you're one of those few, you're the only one that can do what you do. So just do more of it. Just do more of it.
Awesome.
I heard somebody say, just whatever you go, put a zero on the end of it. And I like that idea.
I like that idea.
Just put a
too.
zero on it. That's just what we want to do. We want to see if we can just take it to as high as we can go.
Next level. All right, Billy. Well, I appreciate you. I want you to hit all of those amazing goals. I want all the advisors to find you and fall in love with Silver Oak like we have here at Intentionally. And I wish you the very best. So thanks for joining us today. Everybody that's listening, we are not thinking small in 2025. So figure out what that means to you. Figure out what that means to your business. And as Billy says, add a zero to it. Thanks for listening.
Hey, thank you, Kelly. I appreciate you so much. You guys are amazing.
Thanks so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to be notified when new episodes become available. And please consider giving us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. This podcast is sponsored by Intentionally, a financial services growth engine design consultancy and agency. If you want to learn more, please email me at kelly@growintentionally.com. Thank you again for listening, and check back to hear what we're not doing next.
The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Kelly Waltrich. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only.